I need to learn over and over and over because I'm the guy who goes, oh, I'll figure it out. Well, fuck, that takes like twice or three times as long, as someone that is just.
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours.
On the podcast, I can't talk about the name of the company, but I can talk about the general, because I haven't done like the certain, I don't want to release the podcast and then someone steal the name or the domain, because the domain's available and I think it's a great domain, and I can tell you right now. But so that shirt you're wearing?
Yeah.
Lions Not Sheep?
Yeah.
So I started following that guy, right? And I was like, then I dove into his branding and then how he built his company, and I'm like, that dude is doing exactly what I want to do. Like, to the T, he does exactly what I want to do. Motivational stuff, coaching, merchandise, and events. Like it checks all the boxes. So then I watched his documentary, I've watched all his YouTube videos, I've watched like a bunch of his shit. And I've like dove into like the copywriting with his merchandise website, which his merchandise website was down yesterday, which was weird. But his like coaching stuff and his Lion's Den thing. And I was like, I think people need a younger version of that. You know what I mean? He's kind of, he's not old, but he's not exactly in his 30s. And I was like, fuck, that's what I'm going to build. So I'll tell you the name and I want your opinion. Okay.
Okay.
The merchandise is going to be bold, brave, and free.
BBF.
BBF. What do you think? What is that? Does he?
Anything that has to do with kind of patriotic, I mean, you can't go wrong with it. Bold, brave, and free. Yeah.
Yeah. I just, I started like writing down like my, maybe we can dive into this, but maybe this is the start of podcast. I don't know. But I started diving into like what my ethics were and like what got me to the point I am where I'm at right now, sitting in this beautiful Walmart parking lot with our brand new RV behind us, and we're ready to go on this adventure. And I was thinking about like the theme of our life and like what we really, what are the ethics? What are the non-negotiables? What are the things, and like, what are the words that define our, life and like how we live? And it was one of those things that, I put these three words together and I'm like, fuck, it clicked. And all of a sudden my wife's like, you should start this business. And I'm like, well, yeah, it kind of checks all the boxes, like all the things that I've wanted to do in my life and all the things that I've been passionate about. And everyone tells me like, oh no, you got to be super niche. You got to do one thing and that's it. And I'm like, fuck, like when we were daily vlogging, I didn't really have like something to build towards or something to promote. And the coaching thing it felt Grant Cardone, little grimy, little car salesy, and I was like, fuck, but if there was like a merchandise side of it and like a group side of it and an event side of it, that's when I was like, fuck, I could really sell this. This is something I could get behind. And it's that group mentality, and especially I looked at the forecast of, what's going to happen in November with the election and how people are pissed. And I was like, fuck, we could ride that wave into a real like business and kind of harness that, that spirit of the United States and that, that freedom and, the risk taking and, kind of living outside the norm, like we've all been taught here in this last, in the last 100 years of the United States. And it just, dude, I got fired up. I mean, the domain was available. The branding is just like literally falling into my lap. And I'm like, fuck, this is it.
Yeah. Fuck, dude, I like it. Just got to run with it and go. I think that's the biggest thing, right? Like anything when we were talking, it's just like that hesitation and waiting too long. Like, like right now I'm the same. I had that same feeling of like, dude, okay, I got to go. I just want to go. I just want to start, just want to do. And I think when we put that on the wait too long, we hesitate too long, then it kind of goes away. And then it's just, we lose that momentum for it. So, dude, I like it though. I mean, it's just like anything. I mean, it's a perfect storm, right? To start it. Like you said, it's coming up in November. That type of thing's coming. People are going to want to just get anything they can to really just show their patriotism or just their love for the United States. So, I mean, it's good. And I think doing it your own way is part of that brand, right? Instead of like, oh, I got a niche to exactly this. No, like fuck it, that's part of what we do, or just being on, social media, is just doing things your own way. And you'll get those people that want to follow that because they're that way. They don't want to be so specific, which, yes, being specific is beneficial, but at the same time, you're still falling under a somewhat specific, whether it's patriotism, or just love for the United States, or whatever you want to call it, that umbrella, and you can still have a lot of things underneath it.
Well, and so like the last 2 months, I've been living in Mexico and I've been searching for something. I've tested a bunch of shit. I've done different like styles of businesses, and it finally just hit me. But then I had this moment. I had like this hour a couple days ago when I had this not imposter syndrome, but like I felt like I was copying someone else. And I looked at that and I'm like, fuck, like I'm a copycat. And then I recognized, I'm like, well, you're not a copycat if you do it your own way and you do it through your own eyes. And someone that I follow very closely, him and his brother, Casey Neistat and Van Neistat, they're both YouTubers. And I looked at their life and I looked at like all the things that they do. And I started questioning them like, well, where did they get their inspiration from? Where did they get their organizational skills? Where did they get their, the way they compose a movie, or the way they just simple things of like they label everything. They take they take this white pen, this paint pen, and they literally write on everything and they customize everything. And I'm like, where did they get that? Like, was that something unique to them? Because I noticed I started doing that. And I'm like, fuck, I'm copying them. Oh God, you don't want to fucking copy someone. And then I recognized, I watched this other documentary on both of them, and they had their own inspiration. They've got this guy called Tom Sachs. He's a super famous art guy who does these wild, crazy art pieces. For example, he did like he built like he was upset with like the police violence in New York City. So he built a bunch of guns out of like police barricades. And they're like functioning like guns for whatever. I don't know what the whole moral of the story was, but he makes this very functional art, and he's famous. He sells these pieces for millions and millions of dollars. And I started looking around in his studio, and I noticed his studio looked very similar to Casey Neistat's studio. And then you look to like the intricacies of, the way he labels things, and it's like, oh shit, they stole that from him. And I was like, I had this immediate like imposter syndrome, but then also when I saw this, a realization of like, you can literally steal from certain people, and that's totally okay. Most artists do steal. Most artists gets inspiration from someone, and as long as you don't copycat them word for word, or their design, word for word, or you design it exactly the same, then shit. As long as you make it your own, but take little bits and pieces of inspiration from other people, it's totally cool to copy them. It's totally cool to steal some of their ideas, because that's where you get your inspiration. And I think it was a moment that I had to have to recognize that, hey, this is not imposter syndrome. You can build this. You can copy certain things because they copied it from someone else. They got the inspiration from someone else. And, you got to go on that path and just get over yourself. You're not that important. They don't know you yet. Like, holy shit, they can't even call you a copier yet because you haven't done it.
Well, I mean, he talks about it. I'm part of the Lions Den, so I've watched. But he's talking about like, if it's, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. He talked about it himself, right? Like he has a bunch of buddies that already had way more successful clothing brands, or so he got their stuff they do, right? Like, hey, this is how you set it up. This is what you do. This is how you pack it. Like, it's not, you're not, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Yeah, what, someone that's very successful, how are they doing it? Hey, these are the machines they bought. These are the packages they use. This is, what I mean. That's all it is. I mean, yeah, down to the actual design and stuff. Yeah, you can't do that, right, for copyright and stuff. So it makes sense. But yeah, as far as the process, I mean, you're not reinventing it. Your whole goal is just to do whatever it is better, right? Like what I'm trying to do, man. I'm getting information from you about pressure washing because, hey, you already did that. Hey, these are the ones you want to get. Don't get this one. Like that's not, sure. It's copying. It's doing, but at the same time, the whole point is to get to where you want to go quicker and not have to learn, make the mistakes on your own and to, be that couple steps ahead. So, and he talks about all the time of what, because I'm part of the Lions Den, I'll watch, I haven't been, it's on Wednesdays. It's actually starts at 11. So I'm going to, and probably end up missing it. I haven't sat in on one of the coaching calls in a while, but every Wednesday, yeah. And, he just talks about some of that stuff. Like, you don't look at what other people are doing. You don't want to be a watered down version of them, but, take some things and to help get going.
It's just it's one of those things that, I look back, I read a book maybe last year. It's called Steal Like an Artist. Great book. Oh my gosh, gives great examples of people who that very, very well. Some of the most famous people in the world literally stole bits and pieces from other artists. And it's one of those things that it's, once you allow yourself permission to do that, then you just have the freedom to create, and you just have the freedom to follow those same processes and the same systems, and you're going to be able to execute on that. And I tell this story in one of my guides that I wrote, which I'm sure is linked below. The six steps to get whatever the hell you want out of life. One of the steps is literally, I went on this run. I went on this run in the desert. I think it was Palm Desert. I went for this, it was going to be an easy 10-mile run through the desert. And I chose this path. And come to find out, the path was not a running trail. It was like a fucking quad trail and a dirt bike trail. So it was covered in sand. It was like running at the fucking beach, but like the biggest, fluffiest beach in the world. Like, if you took one step, you were literally sinking like 4 or 5 inches into the ground. And about a mile into my run, I started noticing these other footprints. And I was like, I can either create my own footprints, and it's going to literally take me twice as long, or I can just literally follow the same exact tracks as this person before me. And the sand didn't have that same effect, didn't have that same giveaway effect. And that sand was already compact from someone else walking. And all I did was then just hopped on their path and took off on my run, and it got done, twice as fast as it would have if I would have blazed my own path. And I think it was one of those lessons that I need to learn over and over and over, because I'm the guy who goes, oh, I'll figure it out. Well, fuck, that takes like twice or 3 times as long, as someone that has just already figured out the steps. You just follow those same steps, and you can deviate a little bit to create your own path at times, especially with design, or maybe, the inspiration that you might have, or the same language, or the different copywriting on the website. But it's about chasing down that dream, and it's not about so much having that imposter syndrome and thinking that you're a copycat.
Oh, for sure. I mean, because at this point in time, there's not a whole lot of original ideas, right? I mean, there's very few. Even freaking social media apps, right? They at one time were copying each other, or doing, shoot, I don't know who started Reels first, but like now freaking all of them have some version of Reels or whatever. So it's just, they all kind of take from each other, and well, shoot, people like this, we got to do something similar. So it is one of those things. It is definitely a struggle, though, because at times you do feel like, oh, dude, I'm literally doing exactly what someone else is doing. But it's, your uniqueness is what's going to set you different from someone else, whatever that is, whatever you can offer that service to people. As it set you apart, or your brand, building your own brand and how you do it. So, man, dude, I like it. You're already getting jacked up for, for the week ahead.
Dude, it's one of those things that I can't talk about the branding specifically, because I don't want someone to steal it, because the damn domain's available. The domain, I've been looking for domains forever, and I don't recommend anyone doing as much research on domains as I have. I found some killer domains. I found this one fucking amazing. It's available. It's like, the greatest, coolest domain. It's short, sweet, packs a punch, and it's like $50,000. And I'm like, ah, shit, And this next domain, though, is really close, but it's only $10. So I can't go into the details with the domain, or the, what, kind of the ethics about it. I've touched on a few things, but it's one of those things that I'm not ready to release it, because I need to secure those things, like, like the Google, like the Gmail, the domain. I need to secure the YouTube, the Instagram, the TikTok, the Facebook, all those links, because those things are super important. And I don't think I don't think I'm ready to share yet. I'm ready to share, the inspiration and the action I'm going to be taking forward. But yeah, dude, I found some really good, tremendous inspiration. Another book that I'm kind of designing this business around, or the idea, is called Content Inc. it's a great book. This guy wrote it probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. He's done a couple different versions of it, but it's the idea of building the business through content first and sharing the journey, the ups and downs of building a business in public. It's one of those things that a lot of people who are quite successful take the other turn. They usually build something very quietly and then they release it to the world. But I think when you don't have that marketing machine yet, I think one of the best ways to build a company is just through social media and just showing your work. I think you shared a book a couple months ago about showing your work, and it's one of those, you know, inspirational things where you can kind of root for the guy that's starting at the bottom. And I don't know, I took some inspiration from that also.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's part of, I think, where we have gotten lost in the social media thing, is that is showing all the stuff, right? Like, especially that. I mean, how exciting is that going to be? And it's a good, you know, so to go back to looking for stuff, that's like when I'm thinking of business day, that's the first thing I go to Instagram and search that. Like, fuck, is someone already have that handle? And of course,
Yeah.
like the one I was thinking of, like there's a every single off version I was trying to think of it, fucking there was already had. And then I'll look up the person that has the best one. You go to it, they have a posted since 2019. I'm like, God, probably can't even get that freaking from them. You know, they'd be like, I don't even know my login anymore. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's one of those things where you look and like, well, shoot, everyone has one, but they're all old. Like none of them are active accounts. I'm like, you know, it's just kind of one of those things. But yeah, it's one of the first things I do. And to go back to it, I think just showing that is what people are going to want to see, right? The beginning and stuff. Hey, I'm here. Hey, this is my outfit, my stuff I have so far. We're gonna get going, and just watch where I'm gonna be in 6 months, in a year, and where we're going. So I think that, because you're almost building your own documentary through social media, right? Like people can watch the story, watch everything over time, and I think that is what people are drawn to, right? Just seeing the struggles, seeing where you're going, and where you're gonna get to.
Well, and it's one of those things that you know, one of the things I discovered by daily vlogging was, a I needed to build something. Good God, it is to create a video every single day, to come up with a new idea. If there's no real core in that, you're kind of lost every single day, and you're trying to reproduce something where you could tell that story. Like, you know, for me, like you said, it's like a documentary. From day one, you start that daily vlog, and you can kind of build this. I want to say it's called, like, it's bingeable content. You know what I mean? You can literally start at the beginning and you can watch the story unfold. And I think it's a much easier way to produce content. And you could do it with shorts. You don't have to do it long form like I'm going to do it. But it's one of those things that you could really see the beginning, the middle, and the end, and seeing that growth. And I think one of the most important parts is the beginning users, that, or the beginning viewers and subscribers. Those are going to be your first customers, and you're able to interact with those, you know, and have those conversations with those starting customers. And I think that's important. They can be a part of that journey. And I think that's one of the things that is going to separate you from most larger brands, that people are going to be able to attach themselves at the very beginning. It's not going to be like, ah, shit, you know, I wasn't even born yet when Nike was around. I can't even wear the first version. You know, it's impossible. I'm sure you can get them on eBay somewhere, but it's one of those things that really, to be able to join at the start when it's really rough, it's really raw, and it's at the, you know, that inspirational side.
Well, yeah, I mean, because most people weren't around, or such a different time. But even if it's Amazon, right? Like one of the you know, I've seen that picture. It's been a long time, but you know, just Jeff Bezos sitting by himself with a freaking regular banner on the wall, and just, you know, that, hey, that's the start of Amazon. And people just, we only know things as they are today, or really remember. So whenever, anytime you can see how something started, and yeah, especially like Nike, which was done, you know, started way before I think I was even born. So it's just one of those things where we don't really know. We just know them how they are today. So it is for people today to start kind of see how you are, and then hey, in freaking 5 years, they'll say, oh dang, I remember when JC was just starting out, and was just doing it, I don't know, in his garage, and now look where he has this big old warehouse and all this stuff. So it is, I think it's pretty cool.
It's Gary V. So I stole that idea from Gary V. Gary V actually said, he goes, can you imagine if Jeff Bezos daily vlogged him building in the first stages of Amazon? Like how interesting that would be. Like that would be an entire series. Like that would be an incredible, you know, form of content. You could literally package that or sell that, or you could write a book about it. Like you would have this documentation, and it just inspired me. I'm like, fuck, that's what I need to do. And am I going to get to Jeff Bezos level? I don't know. 10, 15, 20 years, you never know what kind of empire you're going to build. And I think I think you won't regret having those moments. And a lot of these creators, I think one of the coolest things that they do is be able to be able to pull those memories and bring them back to life. So like one of the things that I think is really cool that we've done with our travel channels, I haven't deleted any footage. So 0 footage. All the original content is still there. So if there's a moment in time where I'm like, fuck, remember that time when we were crossing that big scary bridge that was covered in fucking fog, and we're back there today, except now it's, big, giant, beautiful, it's sunny out. You can draw from those moments in the past. And I think it's cool to have that documentation process, especially because it's so easy today. You literally have a fucking 4K camera in your pocket, and you're able to, be able to store that footage.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing, at least for me, that I don't do enough is documenting just the random stuff, right, and saving it, right. It's whether it's pictures, whether or any type of short videos, because of that, right. Like, man, look at this moment from here to here, and it's something to call back, or when you're doing it today, like, fuck, I wish I took a picture of that, took a video of that back in the back and everything, or whether it's phone calls, whether it's video calls, whatever it is. Which is even why this is such a cool thing that we do. I mean, it's going back to some of our earlier recordings, and I've watched them. It's like, man, I looked terrible talking on camera. Now I look so much better, just more smooth and all that stuff. So it is one of those things where it's cool to see the progression. And a lot of people, we just don't do that, or they're hesitant to do that. So it is, get out there and record more stuff and document more. And I think the documenting part of it is a thing that's hard, because we do like the finished product of things. So many videos and even stuff on Instagram, a lot of it, more of it is the finished, polished product. Like you're seeing these cool videos of whatever it is, versus more of just the raw in the moment. Like this is what's going on. Which a lot of people do like that, and it's proven that people do like that more natural stuff as well.
Dude, I mean, look at reality TV. Like reality
Oh yeah,
TV was, I mean, it's so fucked up and so raw. I mean, people love that genre. I mean, millions of people tune in every day. And I mean, even guys like Gary Vee, who put in, I mean, he's got a whole team, but I mean, the fucker's sitting there at his desk for 12 hours on live stream with it on mute. You know what I mean? Like people tune into that shit and just watch him work. Like, I think it's something that we underestimate, the power of just creating that very, very raw content and being comfortable enough to put it out there in the world. And I think if you're comfortable enough with yourself, and this took me years to do. I was terrified when I first started this company right here, the Aloha Press. It was a golf course review company. I was scared to death to bring my same vlogging camera into the golf pro shop. I wouldn't even do it. Like, I was so worried of what other people thought of me, or like, oh fuck, they're gonna think I'm taking too long, or I might say something bad about their golf course. And it's like, no, you dipshit. Like, they don't care. Most of the time they're like, what the hell's that? You got a YouTube channel I can tune into? They're like interested in it. And I think it's something that, a mistake a lot of people make is just, you need those reps of really shitty content. You just do. Like, it's crazy how well I can put together a story now compared to the 300 episodes before that. It was horrible. There was no story. There was no confrontation. There was no like element of surprise. All of the elements of a story weren't even there. It was just me like walking around with a fucking camera. Hey, yeah, so that's a golf course. That's a hole, and it's horrible. But at the same time, it's one of those things that you need those reps to really get into it. And I think people enjoy the raw version. I think most that highly curated content is going to go away. I don't think it's as popular as it used to be. Mr. Beast does a really good job. He's the most popular YouTuber in the world. I think a lot of people went that direction, but I think most people want to get to know the person on the other side of the camera. And I think if you can remember that you're just talking to another dude on fucking camera, and the highly curated content is just, it's something that's almost unrelatable.
yeah. Fucking, I agree, man. And it's kind of the fun, and even what we do is just, who knows where you are. I'm usually in the same stuff, but it is just a part of it. Like, man, we're where we are today. You know, we're in a fucking hotel. We're in our car in a Walmart parking lot. Wherever we are, just we're making it happen, and it's part of just the brand too, of just taking action and not caring about things. Not having those excuses. Oh, I can't do it because I'm not here in my studio. I'm wherever I am at the road. Um, so
I'm in a Walmart parking lot, man. I'm pulled over. My truck's running. My house is hooked up behind me, man. I'm excited to get back on the road and be able to do this remotely and do it in a. I'll have my systems better. I promise you. Right? Starlink is going to be full force here in the coming weeks.
where are you guys heading to next? Like, where are you guys going?
No idea. We've got about 2 weeks before we got to get back to our main house. We're selling our main house in order to buy another storage facility because we've decided we want to stay on the road. We've in the last year and a half, we've really enjoyed the process of traveling together in a fucking tiny house. Okay, that's what it is. It's 21 feet by I think 8 feet wide. I don't know what that is. It's like fucking 400 square feet, and yeah, we're excited to hit the road. The goal probably after selling the house is we're probably going to chase down opportunities. So that might lead us to places like Louisiana, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee. We might be staying in the Southeast for the most part because we want to take down another storage facility, and us selling our house is going to give us that opportunity to be able to buy another storage facility, which I was talking to one of my mentors a couple of days ago, and he goes, dude, you guys love being on the road. You love traveling. Why the fuck do you need a main house? Like, it only cash flows, this much. If you could take that equity and turn it in and double or triple your equity, fucking do that. You already love the storage business. Chase that dream down. You can always rent a house later. You don't need to go buy a house. Like most Americans nowadays can't even afford a fucking house. Take advantage of that, and for us, we're towing our house, as you can see in the video, literally towing our house. So it's we're not really sure what we're doing these next couple weeks. We might head to the Atlantic side, probably places like Savannah, Tybee Island, places like that where I've never, I've been to Savannah. Savannah's a really cool place, but there's a bunch of islands in Georgia off the coast of the Atlantic that we've never been to. There's apparently an island full of wild horses. So my son wants to go look at wild horses, so we're gonna go try and accomplish that here in the next couple weeks.
Sounds exciting, man.
It's something. It's definitely exciting. Today we were back at the dealership and they're replacing our fucking wheel bearings on our trailer. So you never know. You never know where we're gonna be.
So what's this? So this new trailer, what was great about it? It was supposed to be super durable as far as for weather, or I forget what this one that you went with.
Yeah, so our previous RV was a 2009 Keystone Ultralight, which was ultralight meaning it was 6,000 pounds, loaded down with all that crap in it. And our truck can handle that no problem, but you get about 4 miles to the gallon. And when we were cruising in California, Washington, Oregon, fuel was expensive. And then we sprung a leak like most of these RVs do. And the interior of the previous RV was all made out of wood. And when we sprung that leak, fucking did all kinds of water damage. So I started hunting down for something that was going to last, especially in weather. And so we found this company called Live. It's a brand new in the sense of it's 4 years old. And they produce an RV that's made out of complete plastic. There is no wood. There's nothing to rot. There's nothing to rust. Nothing that can really go bad. The only thing that can go really bad is just the actual the weather sealing around the windows and parts of the roof. So even if you do spring a leak, nothing inside the RV can go bad. And that's what we really loved about the company. But also with plastic's really light. It's super light. So it's literally cut our overall weight in half. So the RV that we decided to go with only weighs 2,600 pounds dry. And with us, all loaded down with water and our clothes and our equipment, we're about 3,200 pounds, 3,300 pounds. So it's a much lighter rig, and it's also built to kind of you know, kind of weather the elements. You can take it into places that, some off-road type trails. You can take it on the beach where you're not going to be damaging the roof and the sides, because the RV itself is more of a fixed box compared to one that's glued and stapled together like our previous RV.
Okay, nice. Sounds
Yeah, and
fucking
I mean, it's not an Airstream. Okay, I wanted an Airstream. It's about 1/5 the price of an Airstream. An Airstream brand new is like 140, and the one I wanted was more like $170,000. And we were probably going to need a new truck because the goddamn thing weighs so much. But maybe down the road we'll venture into that wheelhouse. But it's something that, yeah, we're excited about. We've had those bumps and bruises so far with our wheel bearings, and our fridge decided to shut off. Come to find out it was a loose plug. And so we're kind of going through the baby steps of breaking in the new RV and fixing the small things that need to be fixed on any new item. There's certain things that just aren't buttoned up like they should be leaving the factory.
Yeah, for whatever reason, every once in a while, like whether I'm scrolling Facebook or whatever, like they'll show our trailers for sale. Some of these freaking trailers are mansions on wheels, like these fifth wheels that are freaking got the granite countertops, you got the stainless steel appliances, you got freaking leather couches and sofas and 55-inch. I mean, it's just like, man, okay, if I'm gonna be traveling, that's what I want to be in for 150 grand, of course. And
Yeah, and we've got some friends that literally drug their. It's a fucking house, dude. Like, I grew up in a double wide trailer. It's almost as big. Like, it's wild. I mean, it needs $100,000 truck to pull the damn thing.
oh yeah,
But it's got 3 or 4 different slides. The fucking thing looks like a 2-story house. And parked next to our tiny little rig, it's like Jesus Christ, JC, what? You guys are a bunch of like criminals to let your son sleep in that thing. But comes something like that traveling down the road. I mean, you're talking about an expensive house that's rattling down the road and things break. We've got a couple friends that have been on this 4,000-mile road trip, and shit just rattles apart. They've had to fix all kinds of shit. But yeah, it's fun. It's interesting. The way they build them these days is just absolutely wild. Ours is very rough. Like, my wife's like, this isn't very comfortable. I'm like, well, we wanted something that was rough. We wanted something that was going to last, and something that's, it doesn't have the fancy features. We do have a television. It might be a third the size of a 55-inch TV, but we've got it.
well, yeah, and especially at that, right? Like those nice ones, they're meant to travel down to Arizona. You're gonna be parked there for 3 months. Where you're gonna be living in it, but it's not moving anywhere, right? It's meant to
Yeah,
move a couple times a year.
yeah.
It's not for your guys. You guys, that's what you need. Which is, when I think the cool things for what you guys do, right, is traveling and showing people that, the breakdowns. Like, dude, this is what you got to deal with if you're gonna be on the road any amount of time. This is what to expect. Get people prepared.
Because I mean, our previous RV was not fancy by any means, but it had some amenities that were really nice. It was a large RV with slides and shit like that, but that kind of shit breaks, and it breaks often. And it was one of those things that when we picked out the new RV, were a couple of requirements. No slides. It had to be a material made. It was either had to be fiberglass, plastic, aluminum, something that wasn't gonna be, because water gets into these things. It's just the way it goes. And it needed to be built to last. And it was one of those things that on the road, when you find a fucking 6-foot hole in your side of your house, and you're fucking in Northwest California, it's tough. And you put yourself in a really dangerous spot. And it was one of those things that we had to consider. And it also fit our budget. And it's also fun to try out a new brand and really give our YouTube take on it, because it's one of those things that they've only sold so many of them and people are interested in. And if we can attach ourselves to that brand and really draw people into our lifestyle and our businesses, just by them clicking on some searchable content like a live travel trailer, which there's literally slim to none content out there on this specific rig. So we thought we'd also take advantage of that. It's one of those things that most people don't think about. You just buy something off the lot, and there's 10,000 videos about that same exact RV. for us, there's literally no videos on it. So we're excited to be able to dive into that aspect of the content. So
That, and
we'll see.
hopefully monetize it eventually.
Hopefully monetize it.
Once you
Oh,
show them how big you're gonna get it. So
what I mean, that's the trick. That's that's one of the things that we talked with the dealership, and they're like, yeah, whatever, But once we get to 100,000 subscribers, yeah, we'll have some weight to push around, especially in the RV world.
shoot, you'll have people. Hey, please try out our RV. Please
Yes.
drive our truck with this RV.
That's the goal, Nate. That's the goal. Our goal of 2024 was literally to have the YouTube channel pay for our travels, and that's we're not there yet, but we're almost there.
Hey, slowly but surely. I think I'm like almost at 200 subscribers on YouTube. So I got, last month I've been like climbing up there. So I'm like, all right, come on, let's get to 1,000. Then we'll keep going.
It's just baby steps, man. It's one of those things that you plant the tree yesterday and you look today and you're like, shit, the thing's not an oak tree yet, and you're like, well, give it 10 years and it will be. It's just you got to be patient, and I think that's one of the things starting this new business that I'm going to venture into. That's the one thing that I might get it tattooed on my fucking forehead. So when I look in the mirror every day, it's like patience. Just be patient and just one step at a time, and it's going to grow. It just takes a long time. It doesn't happen overnight.
Oh no, dude. When I look back at things like, from even starting like personal development, or even like shoot, when we used to talk about stuff, it's just a long time ago. It's crazy. It's like, man, like this is where I'm at now, but I just forget what it was like before. I forget what it was like such a long time ago when we just kind of started getting into it, when we, just started reading about Gary Vee or watching his stuff and like listening to his podcast, and then to where we are now. It's such a small improvement, but it's still such a big improvement too at the same time.
Dude, it's a fucking mountain improvement. It is. Oh God. I remember the first podcast. It was not good. I still listen to that podcast just to remind myself of where we started. Oh my, it was not pretty. But dude, you got to start somewhere. I mean, and you're not going to be good at it. And I think I think if anyone can take anything away from this podcast today, is literally, as long as you start, you are going to get better through reps. And it reminds me of the study of like the two different classes. One of the class said, hey, at the end of the 6 months, you got to make the perfect pot. Make this one perfect pot. And then the other half of the class, they said, listen, make as many pots as you want. And at the end of the day, pick one out. And sure enough, the people who had the more reps made the better pot at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which is part of, I think, just a lot of what holds people back from even getting started, right? Like, I got to have everything perfect before I start this. Before I launch this business, I need to make sure I have the perfect domain. I have the perfect shirts. I have the perfect everything, right? Oh, it's not ready. I got to start this. And if opposed to just like, okay, let me go get my license. Let me open up this bank account. Let me buy some whatever I need to get started, and let me just go. Let me just go and do it. I'll offer it for free for the first 5 people. I'm gonna offer it 75% off for the next 5 people, and just like getting those reps and getting that work done. And then all of a sudden, like, do such a good job, you're going to have a bunch of referrals and whatever it is that you're doing, and you're off and running.
Dude, service businesses is one of those things. If I was in a fixed location, that's what I would do. I mean, because the competition they're not doing those things. They're literally not. Like most of the guys that start out literally go out and buy equipment that they can't afford, and then they forgot one element. They're like, fuck, I don't know how to sell. I don't know how to market. I don't even know how to use this machine. And you're like, holy shit, dude, like, go get a customer first and then figure out the rest of the shit. Because the first handful of customers, if you tell them like, listen, I'm not very good at this. I'm brand new. Okay. And guess what? I'm going to do the best job I can, and I'm going to make sure it's done right, but it's going to be slow. It's going to be cheap. And then as you get more reps and you get into that flow of things, dude, things just fall into place, and you get that momentum. And all of a sudden you've got weeks of customers booked out because you have built up the reputation and you have done great work, and you know how to operate the equipment well, and you know how to do a good job. And all of a sudden you've built this $1 million business in a matter of 6, 9, 10, 12, 3 or 4 years. And you can really do that. And I think that's one of the things that most people miss. I get into an argument with my cousin a lot. He goes, no, You got to have the truck. The truck's got to be wrapped. You got to have your LLC. You got to have all this fancy fucking equipment. And I'm like, no, you don't. He goes, no, you do. You have to. And I'm like, no, you don't. I'm like, just because you built your business one way and I build it another way, let's see how fast we can get to the end and see who, because, it's again, like if you go out and buy the perfect camera or you buy the perfect truck and you buy the perfect equipment, you're by the time I catch up to you, I'm going to have the reps and I'm going to be doing a way better job than you are. You're not even going to know how to turn the fucking machine on.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. It's same thing with whatever you're creating, whether it's you're starting your social media brand, creating, apparel, cooking food, right? Like whatever it is, you just got to get going and offer it to people and get feedback, get some honest feedback from some people close to you. So like, you should do this, improve it here, improve it there. And reps are the biggest thing, it's, you can't think about weightlifting. You got to go lift the weights, it's however you want to, whatever you want to compare it to. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter how cool your clothes are when you go to the gym, you still got to lift the weights. And if you can't even lift the weights, or you're not going to lift the weights, it don't matter how you look.
Well, Under Armour might disagree. Nike might disagree. Okay, there's a lot of spandex in the world that's never seen a gym. Okay,
man, that's just more for comfort, though. They're appealing to
bullshit.
those people that want to just be
Oh,
comfortable and not go to the gym. They're going to the opposite market. The people that don't want to go to the gym but still want to just feel good in some clothes.
it's disgusting. Okay, the number one killer in the United States right now is fucking food. Good God. It's
It's
crazy.
man, yeah, our food and the food that we eat, is especially fast food and other stuff. It's terrible, but it's just so damn good. All right, JC, I know it's bad, but it is just so fucking good sometimes.
Dude, my wife was she was reading off the ingredients to margarine compared to the ingredients of paint. And they like 90% of the chemicals that make paint is literally in margarine. And I was like, well, we ain't eating that shit again. Like, good God, like, what are we doing? It's wild, dude. It's wild. And I'll tell you this one story before we end. So, again, we've been living in Mexico for 2 months. Okay, I got used to chicken looking a certain way. I got used to looking at beef a certain color, and it's not a good, pretty little pink or really white meat that you get in the American grocery stores. Dude, my wife came home with some chicken the other day, and I'm like, that ain't chicken. Good God, I've seen a dead chicken before. It ain't that color. And it's crazy what they're doing to food here in the United States. It's absolutely wild, man. It don't get me wrong, it tastes good, but it ain't good for you.
Well, so I just I don't know what I was watching, but someone was even saying that like the meat that you get at your grocery store is so different than the meat you can get. You can order these the butcher boxes or whatever online, and so they're like, man, you just look at the color of them from fresh from what you're getting in the store is just even that's different because of that what they're putting in it. So it's to keep it cheap or whatever. So yeah, it's crazy. It does stuff to us, and so yeah, if you're not keeping up on your fitness and your nutrition, but it is like I'm so big on that. Just go in the store. Okay, what's the ingredient? It's even like egg. I like to use egg whites. What's the ingredient? Egg whites. You look at some of these other ones, and maybe not all the ingredients are bad, but still, like, why does there need to be 10 ingredients for a similar container? Like, or butter. That's why I even though there's tons of fat in it, I just buy the regular butter that's just ingredient, right? Cream or whatever it is. Like, it's just there's one thing that's in it or two things. It's like, all right, well, that's pretty can't get any more pure than that. So
It's wild. My son asked me a question. He's like, Dad, can I have this? I go, what are the ingredients in it? He goes, I don't know, I can't read. I go, exactly. I go, what's the ingredients in an apple? He goes, an apple? I go, exactly. Okay, we know the fucking ingredients, all right? Water, soil, tree. I fucking produce a piece of fruit that's way healthier for you. Now, we are in the Walmart parking lot. My son's like, I want some Lay's potato chips. I'm like, damn, kid, that sounds pretty good right now. But it's addicting. You know what I mean? Like the chemicals they put in this shit, I guarantee it's worse than fucking cigarettes. Maybe not cigarettes, but it's bad. It's not good for you.
no, for sure. I mean, the empty calories and whatever else. Yeah, chips are some of the worst. For
It's
sure.
horrible. Oh, they're so addicting. All right, Nate, we got to wrap it at that. I
All
need to
right.
get out of my truck. I'm literally sweating to death here in the Walmart parking lot. But shoot, till next time.
All right, man. Take some action.
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours.